Now, the next thing we need is our nutrients and our water. Let's just assume, for time's sake, that we've properly pH'd the water, we have added the correct amount of nutrients, and everything's good to go as far as our nutrient solution. And I will cover that in another tutorial, but for now, let's just assume that this is already complete. Alright, so if we were to place a plant in this right now, it'd do okay, but as time went on, it would start to suck oxygen out of the water because the roots need oxygen to survive. In time, it would run the water completely out, it would suck up all the oxygen and the water would not be suitable for plant life anymore. So what we need to do is add an air pump, and you can buy these at Petco, an aquarium store, anything like that. They're very cheap, and I'd recommend just buying the cheapest one you can find, because even the cheapest one is more than enough for what we need it for. Now the next thing you're going to need is something to spread that air throughout your nutrient solution. And what we use for that is an air stone. They, again, are found at your Petco or your aquarium store, and they come in either 12-inch long lines or these 3-inch diameter discs. And you can buy either. It doesn't really matter which you buy, as long as it's spreading enough oxygen and air throughout your nutrient solution. Now the last part of that equation is going to be the line that connects the two. And it seems simple, but there's a couple things to think about here. The first thing you want to think about is getting 1/8 inch airline tubing. Make sure it's airline because then it's bendable enough so it can navigate through your little system. Now the next thing to think about is that it is opaque. It needs to be opaque because if a light is hitting a clear tube, you're going to get some algae growth in there, and it's just really going to be a hassle to clean out, and just avoid it altogether by getting an opaque tube. Okay, so we have our growing media as our next thing to consider. Now, I would say for anyone starting out to buy Hydroton. And what Hydroton is it's an expanded clay pellet. It's kind of brown and it has some black specks on it. It is by far the best growing media to start out with because it's inert, meaning it's pH neutral, so it won't mess your nutrient solution up at all. It is reusable and it's inexpensive. So if you can't find that locally, you can always order it off Amazon, or any hydroponic store online will have that for you. The next thing you have to think about is what you're putting your Hydroton into. And for that I recommend something called net pots. Net pots basically look like a cup that has excuse me, a bunch of holes kind of cut into it. It creates a mesh. And what that mesh allows your plant to do is have a strong and robust root system. If you were to have a normal cup with just some holes drilled in the bottom, there'd only be one direction for your plant's roots to grow. But with net pots, you can actually have roots spreading out from all different areas of your net pot, which is really great, and it promotes a vigorous root system. So now that we have our entire system built, we have our growing media selected, the next thing we need to think about is how to get our plants in this system. So for that, we'll take a top-down look at this system. These two black holes that you're seeing are drilled in or cut in to the surface of your tote. I tend to use a hole saw for this, but you can just cut it out with scissors if you don't feel like buying that bit, because it is kind of expensive. The next thing you're going to have to do is drop the Hydroton into the net pots, put your little seedling in as well, and then plop that into your system. And when it's all said and done, it looks something like this. Now,